And share sound. I think that's, yeah, this is the one we want. Let me get up here. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, Abba, we come before you, Father, as always, mighty one, asking for forgiveness for iniquity, sin, and transgression. We also ask, Father, that you watch over us as we, start this journey again today, this morning, and you woke us up on another Shabbat. And we ask that, Father, you remember those that could not be here. We also ask, Father, that you just open our minds so that we can understand what's going on, Father. This is the commandment that we learn about your house. We thank you for the opportunity, Father, and we thank you for the Ruach HaKodesh, the set apart one. Father, we ask that she can come in our midst and help us with this, Father, because we know how important this is in these last days when this world is being turned upside down, just like you said it would. Father, we just ask that you keep us ready, get our minds right, get our hands right so we can do the work, get our feet strong so we can stand and walk path and keep your will. We thank you for these things, Abba Yahuwah. As always, we also, Father, bless your name. We thank you for the marvelous, mighty love gift that you sent us, Yahushua HaMashiach. We thank you for all things in his name, Father. In Yahushua's name we pray. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Right, so we're going to pick up from where we was last week because we had been, again, we steady going through this temple. And I went ahead and just added some stuff to the class because I still haven't had time. I've been, y'all know my schedule right now. So I haven't had time to go up here and put that last class up that didn't record. So I'm probably gonna do it. I don't know, sometime this week coming up. It'll be up there. And that way you guys can go back and reference that. But we're gonna touch on some of the things that was in that class so that we can get a better understanding of this. All right, so let's go ahead and now I know it was a few, with a few people or some, well, how can I say it? When we was talking about the being, this world, how Hasatan was gonna put his people on us and how they was gonna be, some of us is gonna have to be martyred, just like the scripture said. We read that, right? It said martyred for this word or for the testimony of Yahuwah. And that's very important. So it means, maybe it's a couple people scared or whatever, but it is what it is. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's just, we got to get ourselves together. Now let's go look at something. Let's go to Luke let's go to John first, chapter 16. I want to show y'all something. John chapter 16. We're going to hit this real quick and then we're going to keep it moving. This thing, I watched the video. I started to put that video up here today, but I didn't know if I was going to have time to get through everything. Because we got a lot of reading to do today. But maybe I'll put it up here on one of these other classes, maybe next week. But I want you guys to see, they've been doing stuff to people that keep the testimony of Yahuwah for a long time, especially the Catholics. And maybe I'll put it up there next week so you guys can see how they actually was setting us on fire, taking bunches of us and throwing us down in pits and dumping logs on us and setting the logs on for all kind of stuff. So, we know that the Catholic Church and the Pope is the high priest of this world. So, I mean, their agenda has not changed. John chapter 16, we're going to start at verse 1. These things have I spoken unto you, that you should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogue, yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think he doeth Elohim's service. And these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, you may remember that I told you of them. And these things I said unto you at the beginning, because I was with you, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. Let's go over to Luke, chapter 21, and verse 12. All right, so now I'm gonna start at verse 1. And he looked up and saw the rich man casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting in her 2 mites. We'll jump down. Okay, we'll jump down to verse 5. And as some spake of the temple, how it was adored with goodly stones and gifts, he said, as for these things which you behold, the days will come, in the which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And we learned that last week. I mean, the week before last, because now we see the wailing. Then we got proof. We got another witness that the wailing wall is a hoax, because he said there's not going to be one stone standing on another. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, take heed that you be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and the time draweth near. Go you not therefore after them. Okay, that was happening then, and we see it happening now. Right? All these people on these TV Christian networks and all this stuff, right? They all talking about Christ, but they teaching you a whole nother doctrine. They're not keeping his testimony. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. That's going down right now. Great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilence, fearful sights and great signs shall there be from the heavens. We see that really now, right? And it's getting stronger and stronger. It had a volcano erupt. You know what I mean? And people is perishing. They're showing pictures of people running for their life. But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, right? So when this is going on, that's what the word before means here. They shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, and delivering you up to the synagogues. Why they delivering you up to the synagogues? We know about these people, and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And they shall turn to you for testimony. We read that before, didn't we? Right? Settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before what you shall say and answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. The same thing same way he acted when he was before the council, right? Sanhedrin, it's gonna happen to you too. And you shall be betrayed both by parents. So some of us that been trying to talk to our relatives and telling them about the testimony, and they all up under grace, they ain't trying to hear that. They're gonna turn you in. They're gonna betray you. And brethren and kinfolks and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but there shall not a hair of your head perish, and your patience possesses ye your souls. So it's just, and then he goes on talking about when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies. So it's just like, it's gonna happen, because we know the word is Yahusha. And it all coincides, it all lines up. So if the Mashiach is saying this, we can't get around it. So there's no need of being afraid of this. Thing is, get your mind right so that you have confidence. Like the book says, now you can boldly come before the throne, because you know in your mind you're doing everything. See, that's one thing about this. Now others can look at you and think that you walking so upright, but only you know if you are actually doing everything, if you are giving Yah all that you can possibly give him. Only you know that. So if you know that, and you know that you're doing everything that you got to do, what difference do it make? It don't make no difference, because we all gonna die, right? Some of us might live to see the coming, but most of us ain't gonna be here, and we don't know when that day is gonna be. So we just got to get yourself together. But if you're alive during these times, if the Mashiach's word is true, it's gonna happen. That's why we love those that keep the commandments. It's not about family members. Yeah, we love our family. We got to take care of them when we can, but we cannot put anybody, friends, family, kinfolk, parents. You can't put them before him, because they can't help you. Now, this is what the Mashiach said. So we're gonna go further. We're gonna keep on rolling. And I didn't do that to be confrontational with nobody. I didn't do that to try to go against anybody. I did that because it was a couple of things that was said to me, and I just want to make sure that the people understand. Don't be deceived. It's gonna happen. If you're alive during this time, it's gonna happen. These people gonna be, because right now, when you come around folks and they okay, here you come with that. You don't want to hear nothing about no commandments. You give one of your family members a video, you might not never hear from them again. See, because their mind is steeped into this stuff, and we're going to see that next week. We're going to go through that. We're going to show you how a lot of people are they assimilated to this way of life, to this system, and they love this system. They love it because they're in their mind, their flesh is saying, "Well, man, I'm being bound up." You know what I mean? Oh man, I can't do this. I can't do that. See? That's too tough right there. I can go to church. I can do what I want all week and go to church on Sunday. And then after that, even though it's supposed to be my Sabbath day, I can go out and eat and have a good time and go back home and watch the game. I mean, it's just, but that's what it is. It's the flesh. There's a guy right now at work. He a Hebrew. I ain't gonna even get into that. It just is what it is. Everybody ain't where everybody else is at. But we got to get better about a lot of stuff. We just got to. So anyway, I'm not gonna start ranting and going on, because we got a class to do. But I just want y'all to understand this. Just be strong and give y'all all that you can. When you know that you should be reading, read. When you know that you should be praying, pray. When the Spirit tells you to fast, make sure you do it. Don't put it off. All right. Now let's go to this next slide. So we saw this slide before, and this is just showing you how the temple is set up. And this is like the temple in the wilderness, because if you notice, there is no court of the Gentiles, there is no court of women, there is no Nicanor gate and all this type of stuff. We're going to break all that down when we get to Herod's temple. We're going to show you even where they had the, can't think of the name of it, but it was a wall that they had up where Gentiles and unclean people couldn't come through. They even put boulders up there to stop you from coming through, and they had a stone that warned you of death. But we're going to show you that. It's going to be next week. Now, we know that the way, and we're going to get more into this gate as we go on. The way, this is how you start your journey, because you got to go through the Mashiach. Because remember, we're trying to get back into Eden. We're trying to get back into the Father's house. So this is the way that you get back. You got to go through the Mashiach. All right? And then you run into what? What's the first thing you run into? Brazen altar, which equals the death of Yahshua. So that means, and brass means judgment, because that's what it was made out of, right? Shitting wood, and it was covered with brass, which means judgment. So that means that we got to repent and follow his example, nobody else's. So we got to follow his example. Then you had the brazen basin. We're going to show you how Solomon's was huge. All right. But this is where the waters of instruction come through, because they had to wash their feet and their hands. So everything that they touched, they put their hands to. See? How they walk through the temple, right? To make sure that they walk was right. Yah does everything for reasons, right? All right. Then we had the bread of the table of showbread, right? Which represents the yoke of Yahshua, right? Hokim and Mishpatim and the Yedutes. See, represents all these things, right? Because we know he's the bread of life. We know when he came, he was full of grace and truth, right? He was full of mercy and the commandments. He was a walking Torah, actually. I mean, how much more mercy do you want? Yah sent mercy like that so that the creator would actually come and he would be actually a walking book for you to observe and learn from. So that way you can get back up under the covenant, right? Then we have the altar of incense, right? Which was a sweet smelling savor to the Father. And we're going to show you that it also deals with our prayer, all right? And then we have the Holy of Holies, right? Which represented the life, right? So the holy place represented the truth, and the Holy of Holies represented life, the kingdom in the glorified body. Because that's what Hamashiach would, I mean, when he was in the form of Yahuwah Elohim, right? Represents life, and that's the new body that we're gonna get. Because remember, we talked about that last week, and I need to clarify that. When I was saying you're not gonna fly away, you're gonna be caught up. There's no doubt about that. But you're gonna be changed. The book tells you you're gonna be changed in the twinkling of an eye. So you're gonna get that glorified body at that time. But then you're not going to heaven. We just got done reading that the Mashiach is coming back to the earth. And he's gonna land so hard that when he lands on the Mount of Olives, that his feet is gonna split the mountain in half, one going one way and the other one going another way. So that's what I meant. So, because I know it might have been a few feelings hurt on that, but ain't nothing I can do about it. I just got to put it out there so like it is. Let's go to Psalms chapter 1. I'm not going to be held accountable because I didn't tell somebody everything, whether they liked it or not. I don't really care. I'm trying to get in the kingdom too. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. Now, Psalms 1 and 5, it says, and the ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahuwah knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. So during the judgment, they're not going to be able to stand like you're gonna have white robes on looking down if you make it, and you're going to be judging them. They ain't gonna have no leg. That's where that comes from there. You don't have no leg to stand on. They ain't gonna have no leg to stand on. They're gonna perish. But it all starts, a lot of our understanding starts by understanding this tabernacle. Gotta understand this stuff, y'all. Now, let's look at this. We're gonna go to Exodus 36 real soon. Now, let's look at this. 48 boards of shittim wood, 15 feet high. Get my phone. Maybe somebody trying to get in, can't get in. 27 inches wide, 4 inches thick. That's why I be wanting y'all to get up here on time. Because that way, if you have a trouble trying to get in, we can fix it. But anyway, 60 pillars surrounded the courtyard. Courtyard was 100 times 50 cubits. White linen fence, right? 150 feet long, 75 feet wide. And that white linen fence represented what? The righteousness of the saints. Like you're gonna have a white robe on, same thing. And it's surrounded here, all this furniture and everything is surrounded by it. The tabernacle is 45 feet long, 15 feet wide, and 15 feet high, right? The alternate labor prepared the worshiper for the way of Yahuwah. Right, okay, and we know that this represents the way, the gate that when the sun hit it, it lit up, right? Light was coming straight off it. So let's keep going further, right? So learning the truth of Yahuwah, this is what we're trying to do right now. Oh, hold on, give me 1 second. Okay. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. Okay. Let's keep it moving. In fact, I'm finna cut this off because that was getting on my nerves last time. We in class right now. So if you're up here, you're up here. If you're not, you're not. Now, see, we got to teach the pattern of Yahuwah Elohim's house to the people. Let's go to Ezekiel, chapter 43. And we're going to read verse 10 through 12. Thou son of man, show the house to the house of Israel, that they may be ashamed of their iniquities, and let them measure the pattern. And if they be ashamed of all that they have done, show them the form of the house, and the fashion thereof, and the goings out thereof, and the comings in thereof, and all the forms thereof, and all the ordinance thereof, and all the forms thereof, and all the law thereof, and write it in their sight, that they may keep the whole form thereof, and all the ordinance therefore, and do them. This is the law of the house. Upon the top of the mountain, the whole limit thereof round about shall be most holy, because behold, this is the law of the house, right? And he goes through the measurements. So this is, this is why we trying to learn this, because it's a lot of information in this tabernacle, and as we're gonna see, right? Now, let's go to 2 Corinthians, chapter 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. And I know a lot of this stuff might be like, man, it seems like, because when you start reading like Leviticus and, and Deuteronomy and Exodus, these different things about the temple, it seems like it's long, but you got to understand it. And once you understand what's behind it and what each piece of furniture means, and it makes it a big difference. 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 1. For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of Elohim, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens, right? So we know when this earthly tabernacle that we walking around in now is dissolved, right? Because Solomon gave all over this book is different examples of that, right? Our life is like a vapor, right? Our life is like a blade of grass, and we see that springtime comes, your lawn comes back nice and beautiful. And then when it starts getting in the close to the winter time, the grass starts receding, going back into the ground, right? Turning dark. So it just is what it is. And some of us is gonna have winter before others, that's all. For we groan earnestly, designed to be clothed upon with our house, which is from the Shamayim. And we're going to get that house at the catching away. There's no word called rapture in this book. So when you caught up or you caught away, this is when you're going to get this new tabernacle. So if so be that being clothed, we shall not be found naked. And that's the last thing you want to do, is be found naked, because that means, guess what? You got problems. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened, not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon, that mortality might be swallowed up of life. Now he that has wrought us for the self same thing is Elohim, who also have given unto us the earnest of the Spirit. Therefore we are always confident. See, when you're doing the right thing, you can be confident, knowing that whilst we are at home in the body, we are absent from Yahuwah. For we walk by faith, not by sight, right? So we walk by faith, we walk by obedience, and we not by the things that we see, because we're going to learn later on some of the things we see is going to get people in trouble, right? Because they're going to be going by sight. They're not going to be, you could tell they're not their very elect, because what did we learn last week? Flattering words are going to take them out the way. Family, friends, parents is gonna take them out the way. Then when this man come and make fire rain down out the sky, this must be the Mashiach. See, but we know if we obedient, the Spirit gonna be like, no. You know who that is, right? Verse 9, wherefore we labor, so we work at this. We work hard every day to keep ourselves under subjection. whether present or absent, we may be accepted of him. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of the Mashiach, that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he have done, whether it be good or bad. Knowing therefore, now watch how Paul put this, knowing therefore the terror of Yahuwah, we persuade man, but we are made manifest unto Elohim, and our trust also are made manifest in your conscience. So when we know, because we know how terrible he can be, and we know when we know the day, what the day of Yahuwah is, that's going to be terror. And right now, people is being terrified just by some of the things that he got these messengers coming, the messengers of the wind, the messengers of the storms, the messengers, you see what I'm saying? They tearing up everything. We see this. Let's go to 2 Peter now. Second Peter chapter 1, verse 13 through 14. Okay, let's see. You know what? I'm gonna go up a little bit. We're gonna start at verse 1. Simon Peter, a servant and apostle of Yahushua HaMashiach, to them that have obtained like precious faith with us through the righteousness of Elohim and our Savior Yahushua HaMashiach. See, so to us that have obtained precious faith, right? Obedience. Because we know faith ain't nothing but obedience. That's precious to Yahuwah. Why? Because you're walking in his will. Why? Because you're keeping his testimony and his edut. Grace and peace be multiplied unto you through the knowledge of Elohim and of Yahushua our sovereign, according as his divine power has given unto us all things that pertain to life and godliness. See, the Spirit is giving us this stuff. The Spirit is showing us how all these things that we trying to do is supposed to pertain into life later on, and even right now. Ain't none of, I mean, if you keeping the commandments, you should be in good shape. You should be in good shape. I ain't talking about going through no test or no trial. I'm just talking about you should be, even if you are going through a test and a trial, some point he gonna hit you like Job to show you that he with you, right? Now let's keep rolling. Giving us all things that pertain to life and godliness through the knowledge of him that have called us to glory and virtue. Because there's another code word, virtue, right? Because we learned that. We in the class with the book of the law, we learned that. Virtue is just somebody that's keeping the commandments, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these you might be partakers of the divine nature. What divine nature? We just got done reading that we supposed to be like the Mashiach. That's the divine nature. Him, how he talked, how he walked. See? Because that's his nature. The commandments show us the nature of the Elohim. See? So that's when you're trying to keep them, that here you are being a partaker of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. Because this is why a lot of people refuse to do this, because they lust after other things. There's other things that's more important to them than this. All right? Verse 5, and besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge. So what is he saying right here? Diligence is when I don't feel like reading, but I'm gonna read. Diligence is like, it's the Shabbat. I'm gonna be here on time. I'm gonna do what I gotta do no matter what, unless I don't have a choice. See, diligence is, I'm gonna get up when the Spirit wake me up at 3 o'clock and it wants me to pray and talk to him. He wants to talk to me. I'm gonna get up and do it. See, diligence is, well, they got a birthday party, or my family's having this over here, but you know what? I got to be at class, or I got something I have to do. I promise y'all, every day at 3 o'clock, I was going to come seek his face. See, and virtue is a commandment. See, and virtue knowledge, because once you go ahead and put forth these feet and grab hold of whatever you said out of your mouth, especially if you was in trouble. You start doing that, then guess what? Now the knowledge is gonna start coming to you, because it's a sacrifice. See? It's a sacrifice. You're sacrificing. basically, without killing an animal, because you're giving up your time. I mean, you fighting off the lust. Now, and besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue now. And to knowledge, temperance. Because they ain't now, okay, now here we go. We're starting to see some of the fruits of the spirit. And the temperance, patience, and the patience, godliness. Right? Because when you out here at these jobs or whatever you doing, you're gonna be tried to see if that anger is still in you, right? You know, or you got somebody that you're trying to work. I mean, some of the people I try to work with, I had a lot of people I talk to, you know, and it's like sometimes you might have one that he's struggling. I mean, I'm talking about he's struggling, you know, but you gotta have patience, because guess what? Most High have patience with you. And then to patience, godliness. Godliness, what you mean? Walking the way the Mashiach walked. And to godliness, brotherly kindness. And to brotherly kindness, charity. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that you shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our sovereign Yahushua HaMashiach. Because you got to bear fruit. But if you got these traits right here, you're going to bear fruit. But he that lacketh these things is blind and cannot see afar off, and have forgotten that he was purged from his old sins. So, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got no patience with somebody, and you forgot. You blind because you forgot that you was purged at one time too. Somebody had to work with you. Somebody had to sit down and read with you, right? It was something that you didn't understand, and they kept on working with you. Because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be bringing forth fruit. So each one of us should have somebody, you know, at least once or twice a day that we, a week that we, I mean, me, I try to do it every day, but, you know, at least once or twice a week that you talking to, trying to, you know, give this information to. Because that's part of your works. That's part of your virtue. And if you're doing these things, you're going to have the knowledge to give to them, to show them why they're going the wrong way. See? And if they don't hear it right then, you got to be patient. It might not be right now. It might be later on he might come. See? All right. Now let's keep going. Wherefore, let's see. Where was I at? Oh, verse 9. But he that, no, first, verse 10. Wherefore, the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if you do these things, you shall never fall. For so an entrance shall be ministered unto you abundantly into the everlasting kingdom of our sovereign and Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach. So that's what you want. You want entrance into this tent. You want entrance into the kingdom. You want entrance back into Eden. Right? Wherefore I will not be negligent to put you always in remembrance of these things, though you know them, and be established in the present truth. Yeah, I think it meet, as long as I am in this tabernacle, to stir you up by putting you in remembrance. So Paul is steady trying to put the people in remembrance of these things, knowing that shortly I must put off this my tabernacle, even as Yahushua HaMashiach hath showed me. Moreover, I will endeavor that you may be able, after my decease, to have these things always in remembrance. And then he goes on to tell you the same thing we've been learning. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables, when we made known unto you the power and coming of our sovereign Yahushua HaMashiach, but we were eyewitnesses of his majesty, for he received from Ab Yahuwah honor, glory, when there came such a voice to him from the excellent glory, this is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. And this voice which came from heaven, we heard when we were with him in the holy mount. So it just goes on. Paul just trying to break this stuff down for you. It's just because he's steady trying to teach people about this, but because of these fables, they miss it. Because of these fables. Fables gonna put a lot of people in that lake of fire, unfortunately. And it's sad. Because we know people all our life been going to church all their life and never even come to understand a quarter of what we've been learning up here. And so you just gotta pray if they're a family member that y'all have mercy on them, and maybe their heart, their mind was good enough. They just didn't have the information. But it's, for me, that's kind of hard. It just depends on the time period. Because for me, if you was in slavery, it's no way possible. He always have a small remnant somewhere, somebody that know what's going on with this. but majority of them, they weren't even allowed to read. And they had to go by what the master was saying, or the master got a certain slave to teach them. And he was just as blind because he going by what the master is saying, and he can only say certain things. So I need everybody to go on mute, please. All right, now let's look at this. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and 16. And even when y'all talk to somebody got a question. Even when y'all talk to somebody, don't be upset if they don't come to this thing right away. Because it's frustrating. I mean, Elder Moshe could tell you about that, but people we done talked to, and it seemed like no matter what, but all of a sudden, I ran into people like, man, what's up, man? Like, hey, man, what's going on, man? Man, oh man, you know what, man? I was doing this, and it hit me, man. I seen it, man. Wait, what you doing? Oh man, I'm over here at this camp over here. Okay, good. Because he going somewhere, he learning. See, but you thinking that he wanted, your flesh, because you want him to get it so bad, right? But you got to remember, we got to give Yah the glory. All you is a planner, right? Right? Because Yah get an increase. Ain't that what the book says? So when he ready to raise him up, he gonna raise him up. 1 Corinthians 3 and 16. Know you not that you are the temple of Elohim, and that the spirit of Elohim dwelleth in you. If any man defile the temple of Elohim, him shall Elohim destroy, for the temple of Elohim is holy, which temple you are. Let no man deceive himself. So now he's telling you not to deceive yourself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness unto Elohim. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And that's exactly what he's going to do. I need y'all to go on mute, please. For the wisdom of the world is foolishness with Elohim. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So we shouldn't be worried about these things of the world. Yeah, it's nothing wrong with going to school. I went to school. That's a good thing, because guess what? Now you doing something for your future while you're gonna be here, right? So now you can you can feed yourself, you can support yourself. That's great, right? But we got to remember, as long as we put him first, all these things is gonna be like what the Mashiach said. All these things gonna be added to you. He gonna give you the desire of your heart. Just got to put him first, all right? Now, let's look at this here. So again, we have the gate and the gate of the entrance, which represents the way of the Mashiach. Remind you of the Passover, firstborn from Egypt, right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, verse 13. See, and the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. So this is why the way, the gate color was a reddish color. See? Reddish color. Now let's go to John chapter 10. John chapter 10 and verse 9. We're still working on this door right now. All right. John chapter 10 and verse 9. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. See? If any man enter in, if any man, because we know the word in means, right, to do like, to be like, right? The thief cometh not but for to kill, to steal, kill, and destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. So this is where he's trying to put you at, in the Holy of Holies, with that new body, because he wants you to have life more abundantly. And you can have life more abundantly right now too, right? Because like I said, if you keep the commandments, you should be in really good shape. Y'all should be doing things in your life. See, you got goals you're trying to reach, you meeting them. You think you're doing that because no, you're doing it because of him. See, we can't forget that. So this is what it is. Let's go to Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcomes what? Overcome you. Will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and sat down with my Father in his throne. If you he that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. So guess what? You're gonna be able to stand at the judgment. You're gonna be able to stand because you're gonna be the ones calling the shots. See, this is what we after. All right. Now, let's see. Let's go to Micah chapter 5. It's all over this book. We just got to get in our mind that this supersedes everything else. All right. Now, east or the east gate, from the Hebrew word kadam, everlasting ancient. Micah chapter 5:2. But thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall come forth unto me, that is the ruler in Israel, whose going forth have been from of old and everlasting. Therefore will he give them up until the time she which travaileth have brought forth. Then the remnant of his brethren shall return unto the children of Israel. And he shall stand and feed in the strength of Yahuwah and the majesty of the name of Yahuwah his Elohim. And they shall abide, for now shall he be great unto the ends of the earth. So this is coming, right? Now let's look at this brazen altar. Let's go to Exodus chapter 27. Just want to show y'all this real quick. And we're gonna hit this other board. Actually, you know what? We're gonna hold on with that. This is what I'm gonna show y'all. I marked this off so you can see about where the holy place is, the Holy of Holies, holy place and the outer court, right? And so when we look at this diagram, when we see where the Holy of Holies is, that represents the spirit or the head or the mind, right? And then you have the holy place, which that represents soul, and then the rest of this, the outer court represents the belly, right? And we're going to show you this in another diagram. See, right here we have somebody put a diagram together, which I think is pretty neat. Hold on a minute. Now here we have the high priest turban, right? And that's dealing with different priestly cells. So you have the priestly cells, what they were set up for was basically when the priest came in to come into the temple. Like, you have some places where they had to labor, like in the tabernacle in the wilderness, the labor was out there just in the middle of everything. They didn't really have a place to change their clothes. But see here, and you're going to see in Herod's temple and some of these, I think Solomon's temple too, if I'm not mistaken, they had priestly cells where they actually came in and they did their washings and they changed their clothes and then they came in to do the priestly service. But here's the Holy of Holies, which we know only Aaron could go into or the high priest could go into once a year, right? And then here we are, because here, look how many candlesticks that this place has. We're going to show you. So this is basically kind of like showing you off of Solomon's temple. And you can tell that because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 of the golden lampstand. Then you have the sea of bronze with the 12 Alifs or the 12 bulls or the 12 ox, or which represent Aleph, which is the Father, right? So you had 10 labors. We're going to get to that. Then you have Joktan and Boaz. These are the 2 pillars. Then you had the altar of sacrifice. So what he did, whoever made this up, he just set it up just like how the temple flows, and it's showing, it just looks like the high priest. And this is his footstool. So I don't know if that's going to help you understand a little bit better, but this is just some of the things I used when I was learning the temple. Now, everybody that's been over there knows I got a scale model of the temple because I wanted to learn it that bad. Because I knew it had a lot in it. At the time, I just didn't really understand, but I knew I needed to really understand this priesthood. That was years. How long I had that thing? 10, 15 years, maybe. So, but I knew I knew it was a lot more to it. So I had to understand it, and I really wanted to learn it. Now, Exodus 36, let's go here. Start looking at this stuff. All right, let's get here. All right, Exodus chapter 36. All right, we're going to start at verse 1. Then wrought Bezaleel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man in whom Yahuwah put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that Yahuwah had commanded. And Moshe called Bezaleel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man in whose heart that Yahuwah had put wisdom. In other words, in their mind, even everyone whose mind stirred him up to come unto work to do it. And they received of Moshe all the offerings which the children of Israel had wrought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, to make it withal, and they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning. So we showed you that last time, how that when they left Egypt, Yahuwah spoiled them, spoiled the Egyptians, gave them all this gold, pearls, silver, brass stuff, all kind of things, fine linens and all this type of stuff. And then when they get out here, he gonna say, if you are willing. He testing them to see if their heart is willing, that's so that they might want to come and donate the same thing that he gave to them back to them so he can have a house. See? And then I won't use that word test, because I know somebody might get upset. So in other words, I guess he letting them try themselves, right? Because it is a place in here where we can say the spirit does test you. You understand what I'm saying? But that's what it is. He's trying to see where your mind is at. Are you willing to give back to him that gave you all of this? Because guess what? Even if you give it to him, he's going to give it right back to you, because he already told you, I don't care about these things. I'm just trying to see where your mind is at. All right. Now, verse 4, and all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. And they spake unto Moshe, saying, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work. So we see the people's mind at this time was right, because they just bringing everything. They got more than they need, which Yahuwah commanded to make. And Moshe commanded, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing, because they was, see, this is when the relationship, you know what I mean? It was new. It was like they was loving Yah. For the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. And every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twine linen, blue and purple and scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work made on them. So let's go look at that. See if we can find that. So get you so I can put it in your mind. Boom. See? Well, these are the curtains. And then we're going to see, and like I said, we're gonna go through this thing. And the length of one curtain was 20 and 8 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. The curtains were all of one side. And he coupled the 5 curtains one to another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one to another. And he made loops of blue on the edge of one curtain for the selvage and the coupling. Likewise, he made in the uttermost side of another curtain in the coupling of the second. 50 loops made he in one curtain, and 50 loops made he in the edge of the curtain, which was in the coupling of the second. And the loops held one curtain to another. So they tied, so he's showing you up here. See, these are the loops he's talking about. I couldn't find a good picture for that, but these are the loops up here. So they tying them together. And he made 50 taches of gold and coupled the curtains one unto another with the taches, so it became one tabernacle. So they put in the tabernacle, they just joining the tabernacle together, right? The length of one curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits was the breadth of the curtain, and the 11 curtains were of one size. Now we can see right here, you see how somebody try to duplicate this. And I think this is a place out in Ohio. I wanted to try to see, hopefully, maybe this, when it gets warmer, we can do. There's a couple of field trips I wanted to see who in the class wanted to go on. But you can see how huge these curtains are. right? And we see like even this diagram, this picture here, you see how they joined the curtains is tied together, and there's the cherubim right there. And we saw the cherubim in the gate at the east gate in Eden, and we see the cherubim here. Again, this is nothing. This tabernacle represents the Garden of Eden. And he coupled 5 curtains by themselves and 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops upon the uttermost edge of the curtain and the coupling. And 50 loops made he upon the edge of the curtain, which coupled the second. And he made 50 taches of brass to couple the tent together, that it might be one. And he made a covering for the tent. Now let's go look at these coverings. I want y'all to honestly understand this stuff. Let's go look at that. All right, so we see, here's the curtains, here's the different, and even on the scale model, it has the same thing with the curtains lined up. And we see that, who is this? Gershom. He was the captain of the people, of the Levites that took care of the tents. See? And the charge of the son of Gershom and the tabernacle of the congregation shall be the tabernacle and the tent, the covering thereof, and the hanging for the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the hanging of the court, and the curtains for the door of the court, which is by the tabernacle, and by the altar round about, and the cords of it for all the service thereof. So not only did he handle the outside of the tent, Gershom and them handled all the different, everything, anything that had to do with fabric in here. He's the one, him and the Levites that was under him, because he was a captain, right? Eliasaph, these are the ones that handled the curtains and the covering, right? Let's see. Now let's go further. Now here we got the siege cow, manatee, right? Skins. And I don't think that this manatee is the same thing. I've looked at that so many times in so many different type of translations, interlinears. I couldn't really get a clear answer, but I know it's not the kind of manatee that floats around in Florida right now. Ram skin dyed red, right? Goat's hair, right? And fine twine linen. These are the things that they was made out of, right? And he made a covering for the tent of ram skin dyed red and a covering of badger skins above that. And he made boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood. Okay, let's go look at these boards. See? All right, here we go. Here it is again. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twine linen, and blue and purple and scarlet with cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. And thou shalt make curtains of goat's hair to be covering up upon the tabernacle. 11 shalt thou make, and thou shalt make a covering for the tent of rams, skins dyed red and covering above the badger skins, right? So we see that 11 sheets of goat hair, 1 sheet of ram skin, 23 sheets total, 1 sheet of badger skin, 10 sheets of fine twine linen with cherubim. Boom, there it is. You screenshot that so to help you, then screenshot it. Now, here we go. Here's the boards now. See, this is how the ribs was set up, right? And so here's the different linens that goes over to cover the board. Here we have the curtain linens right here. That's going into the Holy of Holies, right? And then we know we had another curtain here that had cherubims on them in the front, right? Before you came in the holy place. See, this stuff is not really hard once you keep looking at it and going over it. I'm not gonna help you with it anyway. But you see, these are the boards. And then you have your pillars here, right? 10, 5 on this side and 5 on this side. All right. The length of the boards was 10 cubits and the breadth of the board 1 cubit and a half. One board had 2 tenons equally distant from one another. Thus did he make all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side, southward. See, so here's it's going to be your boards. Let's go look at a better shot. Boom. See, here's your crossbars and your boards for the southern, northern, western frames of the tabernacle, right? And 40 sockets of silver he made under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board of the 2 tenons and 2 sockets under another board for the tenons. So we know here's the crossbars, right? So this is how they held them together. Once they put the boards, see, they put the boards together like this. See, they had these staffs and each board slid into them. Boom, boom, boom. And here's your sockets right here that they fit into. This is what he's saying right now. See, these are the sockets that the boards fit into. So this is what made it make it stand up Then they had the sockets on the side that they slid a pole through to strengthen it to hold it up. And for the other side of the tabernacle, which is toward the north, he made 20 boards. See, these are your 20 boards right here. This is what he's talking about. Here's your sockets. I'm going to show you that again so you have a better understanding of what's going on. And there are 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board. See, because they had to have 2 sockets under one board. See, 1, 2, he's showing you that right there. There's one. See the little line in between? There's another socket. See, for one board. Under one board and 2 sockets under another. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward, he made 6 boards, and 2 boards made he for the corners of the tabernacle and the 2 sides. And they were coupled beneath and coupled together at the head thereof to one ring. See, one ring. See, he's showing you that. To one, thus he did to both of them in both corners. I praise Yah too, because I don't even know how I was just trying to put this thing together, and he just stuff started. I was like, wait a minute, what? I had never seen that before in my life. I'm like, what? And then as I started reading, he put it right here, and it's for y'all, everybody's benefit that comes up on the class, because maybe somebody I didn't know, so maybe somebody else didn't understand how this was put together. And there were 8 boards, and their sockets were 16 sockets of silver under every board, 2 sockets. And he made bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards on the one side of the tabernacle. See, so these are the bars. It's all here. It's all here. And 5 bars for the boards on the other side of the tabernacle. 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle for the sides westward. And he made the middle bar to shoot through the boards from the one end to the other. See, so he's showing you that. This is the diagram right here. See, the bars that shoot through the boards to one to the other. That's how they joining them together. So you got them on the outside, and you got one that goes, she's showing you this, they go through the board, boom, boom, boom. They line them up. And he overlaid the boards with pure gold. See, that's what you see back here. And made their rings of gold to be placed for the bars and overlaid with the bars. So you know this stuff had to be, these boards had to be heavy. Think about it. Now, this is a lot of work. This is what we was trying to show y'all before about when he said they got to get up and move and they blow the ram's horn. Now that means all this stuff got to be taken apart. And then they got to put it back together whenever he tell them to stop. And the cloud, whenever the cloud hovered over, it was time to, okay, this is where y'all gonna stay at. Might be a couple of months, week, 2 weeks, it might be a couple of years, might be a year. But then when the cloud moved, they had to get up and move too. And he made a veil of blue, purple, and scarlet, and fine twisted linen with cherubim made he of the cunning work. And he made thereunto 4 pillars of shittim wood and overlaid them with gold. See, so these are he's showing you these pillars, right? With their hooks, and they overlaid their chapiters and their fillets with gold, but their 5 sockets were of brass. All right, let's go to the next one. Chapter 37. And all right, now let's look at this here. So we're gonna keep looking at this. See, so I want you to kind of get it in your mind so you can see how this stuff was put together. All right. So, and here's your sockets. And who was in charge of that? Merari, Captain Zeriel, 6,200. And under the custody charge of the sons of Merari shall be the boards of the tabernacle, and the bars thereof, and the pillars thereof, and the sockets thereof, and the vessels thereof, and all that serveth thereunto, and all the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets, and their pins, and their cords. So this was a lot of work, y'all. This was a lot of work. It just, all this stuff had to be accounted for too. And it all meant something. We're gonna see that. 20 posts on the north side of the courtyard, 10 posts on the east and the west. Excuse me, get something to drink, I'm sorry. So he's showing you that even the silver hooks, that's here. That's how they tied it off. That's it's like this here, that's how they tying it off. Right, you know, like when I was in the military, you had like one cord might have 2 straps going down, one, 2, 1, 2, and that strengthens the tent. You get a 10-man tent, that's how we used to put them up, and it strengthened it. So, like when I was in Alaska, when that wind be blowing and all that, it's cold out there. You want to hurry up and get that up as fast as you can, but then because it could mean life or death. So we're gonna keep moving. See, so I want you to see this here so y'all kind of understand better. All right, now we're gonna get to this one in a minute. No, let's do this now. Now, in the first temple, there was no coin, only pieces of silver. The silver went to repair the temple sockets, not the pastor's pockets. And the sockets held up the posts that held up the tabernacle. The unity of Israel. That's what that represents. Among and the ransom of or salvation of atonement of the whole body. Let's go to Numbers chapter 3. I don't know what I did right here, y'all. I do not understand that. Let me see something. Numbers chapter 3. I probably meant to say 29. Yeah. Trey, are you here?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to go ahead and read Numbers chapter 20, chapter 3. And we're gonna start reading at verse 29. So disregard this, y'all. This is I don't know. This should have been. It probably should have been 29 through 47. But I mean, sometime I'll be up late or early in the morning trying to put this stuff together for y'all. I make mistakes too. So, yeah. Numbers chapter 3, verse 27 through 49. Trey.
Numbers chapter 3, verse 27 through 49. Numbers chapter 3, verse 27 through 49. And of Kohath was the family of the Amorites, and the family of the Israelites, Izaharites, and the family of the Hebronites, and the family of the Uzzielites. These are the families of the Kohathites. And the number of all the males from a month old and upward were 8,600, keeping the charge of the sanctuary.
Right. So that was their commission. That was their charge, right? Because we know by now the word charge means office, duty. That was what they had to do. That was their destiny as Levites. That's what they was doing. So when we watch these movies, we know that everybody couldn't do what everybody else could do. I mean, certain people could go inside the temple, certain ones had to stay outside and take care. This is the tabernacle now. This is not dealing with the temple of Herod or the temple of Solomon. But there was a whole different setup. We're gonna see that. Go ahead, Trey.
The families of the sons of Kohath shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle southward. And the chief of the house of the father of the families of the Kohathites shall be Elizaphan, the son of Uzziel, and their charge shall be the ark and the table and the candlesticks and the altars and the vessels of the sanctuaries wherewith they minister, and the hanging and all the service.
We're gonna show you that. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna show you that. Go ahead, Trey. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
And Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, shall be chief over the chief of the Levites, and have oversight of them that keep the charge of the sanctuary.
Right. So Eleazar was chief over all. He was. In other words, each one had a captain. The captain of the curtains and the tents, right? The captain of the furniture, the golden candlestick, the altar of incense, all these things, right? And then you had and the sockets. But anyway, he was the captain. He was the one that made sure that every time they took this stuff down, he made sure they was packed up right and everything was done right. That everything was covered inside the temple. So when they went in there to take up everything, that they didn't die. Because they weren't supposed to be in it. That was not their calling. That was Aaron and his sons was the ones that was inside the Holy of Holies and the courtyard and all these things. See, go ahead, son.
All right.
Verse 33.
Of Merari was the family of the Mahalites, and the family of the Mushites. These are the families of Merari. And those that were numbered, according to the number of the males, from a month old and upward, were 6,200.
Mm-hmm.
And the chief of the house of the father of the families of Merari was Zuriel, the son of Abihail. These shall pitch on the side toward the tabernacle northward.
Right, we showed you
The
that
north of the
diagram. We showed you the diagram of how the camp was set up and who was where, right? If you guys screenshotted that or remember that, we showed you that. We even showed you where Moshe and Aaron's tents was at. We showed you that, how everything, and we showed you where each tribe had their own banner so that you knew who they was, because that was their marching orders. When they blew that ram's horn, they had to line up a certain way, and because it was an army, and they had to march. They marched forward, following the cloud, following the general. Go ahead, Trey.
Under the custody and charge of the sons of Merari shall be the boards of the tabernacle, and the bars, and the pillars, and the sockets, and all the vessels, and all that serves there.
Okay, now hold on 1 minute, Trey. Sockets here is Hebrew word number 0134. It represents Eden. From H 113, foundation, right? Or from the root, root word 0113 is also the word Adon, which we know the word Adon equals what? Sovereign, master. Because that's what they stood on. Like we supposed to be standing on the Mashiach. Right? Go ahead, Trey. This stuff is like, I mean, when you start seeing this type of stuff, you be like, wow. I don't know, at least I do. It be blowing my mind. See, everything represents the Mashiach, everything. Go ahead, Trey.
And the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets, and their pins, and their cord. But those that encamp before the tabernacle toward the east, even before the tabernacle of the congregation eastward, shall be Moses and Aaron and his sons, keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge of the children of Israel. And the stranger that comes near shall be put to death.
Now, the stranger in this sense, it does not just mean foreigners. It means if you are not a Levite, you are you're a stranger to this tabernacle. You ain't supposed to come nowhere near it. Otherwise, it's gonna be death. See, and we're gonna get into that when we get. I want you to remember this when we get to Herod's temple. But see, down here, spiritually from the silver of the melted shekel, because we're gonna get into that. It's called a beaker. Represent every person. The foundation of the tabernacle represents the foundation or Mashiach. Every person redeemed at his obligation on the tree. This stuff is deep, man. I love it. Go ahead, Trey.
All right. Verse 39. All that were numbered of the Levites, which Moses and Aaron numbered, at the commandment of Yahuwah, throughout their families, all the males from a month old and upward were 22,000. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, number all the firstborn of the males of the children of Israel from a month old and upward, and take the number of their names. And you shall take the Levites for me. I am Yahuwah, instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel, and the cattle of the Levites, instead of all the firstlings among the cattle of the children of Israel. And Moses numbered, as Yahuwah commanded him, all the firstborn among the children of Israel. And all the firstborn males, the number of names from a month old and upward, and those that were numbered of them were 22,213. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moses, saying, take the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel, and the cattle of the Levites instead of their cattle, and the Levites shall be mine. I am Yahuwah. And for those that are to be redeemed of the 213 of the firstborn of the children of Israel, which are more than the Levites, You shall even take 5 shekels apiece by the pole. After the shekel of the sanctuary shall you take them. The shekel is 20 gerahs.
Okay, now hold on 1 minute right there. Let's look at this. And those that are to be redeemed of the 203 score and 13 of the firstborn of the children of Israel. So we got to keep that in mind, because when the Mashiach came back, who did he say that he came for? The lost sheep of the house of Israel, which was who? Ephraim. And Ephraim was what? He had the title of firstborn. They had to be redeemed. See, so he had to come back and redeem them first, because Judah was wicked, but they didn't turn away from Yahuwah like Ephraim did. We're going to show you that firstborn got to be redeemed, y'all. It just is what it is. Go ahead, Trey, keep reading. But I want y'all to keep that in mind. So when we get to the Mashiach and we start going through Ephraim and showing you what Ephraim did, then you're going to understand why he said, I only came to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But Ephraim was the firstborn. Go ahead, Trey.
And you shall give the money where the odd number of them is to be redeemed unto Aaron and to his sons. And Moses took the redemption money of them that were over and above them that were redeemed by the Levites.
Let's go to Exodus chapter 38, Trey. It's always, man, this temple has so much stuff in it. And I'm talking about, man, when I started really looking at this thing, the Ruach was helping me and then giving me different resources to use and all this type of stuff. I was like, man, this is like unbelievable. But it's all here. It's all here. And all this information is in here. This is why we need to learn about the tabernacle. So like I always say, when you get to Paul's writings, you won't be all confused. You'll be able to spot stuff right away. Man, that ain't got nothing to do with Paul talking about the law of this. He ain't talking about the law of that. I keep talking about the law. Okay, what? That's just a title. What law are you talking about, man? Exodus 38, verse 26 through 27, Trey.
Exodus 38, 26 through 27. A becker for every man that is half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone that went to be numbered from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. Of the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket.
Okay, so when he says every man here, that's H word number 1538, Gal, less, right? Which we get the word what? Golgotha, head or skull, census. So he's taking the census, right? Let's go to John chapter 19, Trey. All this stuff is right here. It's all here. And just read verse 17, son.
John chapter 19, verse 17. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in the Hebrew Golgotha.
Right. So which is a Greek word number 1115, skull, which equals the Aramaic origin, Golgotha, head count of every person. So you see the same thing happening here. Because everybody that belonged to him at that time, it was a head count. That's what this represents. And they was redeemed. That's what's going on. There's more than to the Mashiach just coming and just, he just came. Okay, he died for the whole world. For Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only son. Man, there's a lot more to it than that. A lot more to it than that. Because he had a lot of work, and we're going to show you that. We're going to show you what he had. He had to repair all these different things. We mentioned it in one of the first class, but we're going to break it down so you can understand what's actually going on. This stuff like this, when we try to break these things down to the best of our ability, it helps you It's supposed to help your walk. It's supposed to help your faith. It's supposed to bring your virtue level up. Because you can all you learning stuff that people that go to church their whole life never even hear, ever. Let's keep rolling. Now, here's some more pictures, right? We just looked at these. Now, here's the Kohathites. The Kohathites, but they shall not go in to see when the holy things are covered, lest they die. So all these things had to be covered. All right? All these things had to be covered. And when Aaron and his sons had made an end of covering the sanctuary and all the vessels of the sanctuary, as the camp is to set forward, when they got ready to march. After that, the sons of Kohath shall come to bear it, but they shall not touch any holy thing lest they die. These things are the burden of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation. So they had to actually be, that was now when it says burden, it doesn't mean like it's beating them down. It means when like you have a beast of burden, a donkey that carries stuff. This is what they had to do. This was their charge, to take care of all these things. But Aaron and his sons had to cover them so that they can. So you'll see a lot of times, you'll see like the ark will be covered. So now you know who's carrying it. It's the Kohathites. Now, shittim wood. Acacia wood was and is very durable. It is not resistant. It is rot resistant, worm resistant, and very durable. This may be the reason Yahweh Elohim chose this wood to be used and overlaid with gold in the tabernacle. See how pretty that wood is? And it's durable. And that's why I think he chose it. Now, function of the temple furniture. Let's get to this. Now, who can tell me what was inside it could be anybody, and who can tell me what was inside the Ark of the Covenant?
Ten Commandments.
Anything else?
I think it was the rod of Aaron, the budded rod.
Okay, Kim, you got it. Can you answer this, Kim?
The book of the law.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right.
Hello?
Trey. Oh, I can hear you. Trey, what do you think?
I'm sorry, it's been breaking up the whole class. The book of the law was placed in there.
Okay. What do you think, Trey?
A pot.
The what?
The
The manna?
The manna, yep.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. A pot full of manna.
Okay. Let's go to Exodus chapter 25.
Exodus chapter 25.
Out at verse 1.
Exodus chapter 25. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering of every man that gives it willingly with his heart. You shall take my offering. And this is the offering which you shall take of them: gold and silver and brass and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and ram skins, dyed red and badger skin and shittim wood. Oil for the light, spices for anointed oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones and stone to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them, according to all that I show you, after the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all the instruments thereof.
Right. Okay, so go ahead. We learned that already, right? Because you see Aaron's garments, and then you see the tabernacle. According to the tabernacle, that was, the pattern that was given to Moses when he went up in the mountain. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Go ahead, Trey, because I know it's raining right now and it's weather when it gets kind of, so I don't want anybody to miss this. And if so, we record it, so you'll be able to go up there hopefully and get to class. Go ahead, Trey.
Exodus 25. And you shall overlay it with pure gold within and without shall you overlay it. And shall you make upon it a crown of gold around it. And you shall cast 4 rings of gold for it and put them in the 4 corners there.
Okay.
And 2 rings shall be in one side of it and 2 rings in the other side.
Right. Okay. So here's your poles, right? They were shittim wood, overlaid with gold. This is what the priests used to carry this when they carried the ark. Because remember, David tried to put it on the cart. Remember what happened with that? That didn't turn out right. So he said, okay, let me go ahead and do it like Yah said do it, right? Because he was scared after the ark almost flipped over, and then they had a brother that came and tried to catch the ark from falling over. Yah killed him on the spot. Because again, didn't he just read that no stranger is supposed to come near none of this stuff? See? But it's the stuff that's like I said, we're gonna get to that when we get to Herod's temple. I'm gonna show you what these devils was doing. But this is the whole thing. See, so here's your 2 rings on both sides that the poles fit in so they could carry it. All right, and that's Exodus chapter 25, 12 through 15. Go ahead, Trey, keep reading. Verse 13.
And you shall make staffs of shittim wood and overlay them with gold.
Okay.
Overlay them with gold. And you shall put staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, that the ark may be borne with them.
So that's how born means to carry. So that's how they carrying it. Go ahead, Trey.
The staves shall be the rings of the ark. They shall not be taken from it. And you shall put into the ark the testimony which I shall give you.
Okay, so the testimony which I shall give thee. We know what the testimony is, right? The 10 Commandments. So far, that's all we see in there, right? Okay, but let's see. Go ahead, Trey.
Or you shall make a merchant seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1.5 cubits the breadth thereof.
Okay, stop right there, Trey. So we see here's the crown that goes around the ark. And then here's the 2 cherubim. Here's the mercy seat. This is where the glory of Yahuwah Elohim is at. In other words, this is where the Holy of Holies is at. You guys, y'all remember that, right? We just looked at that. Hold on. We're going to go back and look again, just so you understand. See, this is where all this is at, right here in the Holy of Holies. Let me get it back.
Oh, could you just do that for 1 minute, please? Can you, I want to take a picture. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Have it. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome, sis. All right. Listen. Oh, that's Sister Dee. Okay. All right. So this is it. This is where the ark is at, y'all. Right here. This is where it's at. All right. Let's go back. I don't care how many times we got to do this. We're gonna keep doing this until y'all understand. And it's okay. We in class. I don't care. It don't matter. This is what we do. Go ahead, son. Keep reading.
All right. And you shall make, and you shall make 2 cherubims of gold of beaten work, shall you make them, and the 2 ends of the mercy seat.
Right. So here they go. Here they go. Right here. Here's the 2 cherubim. Because that's how you know. I mean, anyway, you read in this book, and it's always the 2 cherubim. Just the 2 cherubim. He keeps showing you this. See, he keep trying to show you this over and over to remind you of what man didn't do. And then, but at the same time, even like Brother Noel pointed out, and I was like, okay, so I was glad about that because I said he learned it because even when he started, he saw that the Mashiach when he had been raised to the Father, when the woman came there and it was two cherubim. I mean, they said two messengers, but that represented the two cherubim that was sitting on either side. It's always the same with this Elohim, and once you kind of remember that, you can understand what's going on. See. But see, the only way we're going to get that is doing stuff like this. Go ahead, Trey.
And the cherubims shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and their face shall look one to another toward the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubims be. And you shall put the mercy seat upon the ark, above upon the ark, and the ark you shall put the testimony that I shall give you. And there I will meet with you and will commune with you from above the mercy seat and between the true cherubims, which are upon the testimony, the ark of the testimony of all things which I will give you in commandment unto the children of Israel.
Right. All things I shall give you unto commandment, which is the testimony, which is the 10 Commandments. Go ahead, Trey.
You shall make a table of shittim wood, 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And you shall overlay it with pure gold, and make a crown of gold around it. And you shall make unto it a border of a hand breadth around it, and you shall make a golden crown to the border there around it. And you shall make 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet there. Over against the border shall the rings be for places of the staves to bear the table.
Right. So the table of showbread had rings and staves in it as well to be carried. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
And you shall make the staves of shittim wood and overlay it with gold, that the table may be carried with them. And you shall make the dishes there, and spoons there, and covers there, and bowls there, to cover withal of pure gold shall you make them.
Okay, so stop right there. We're gonna hold our finger right here. So let's go look and see. And the tables were the work of. I need y'all look up here. Okay, so we see the ark of the witness testimony, or ark of evidence, because that's what the 10 Commandments. So you got to keep that in mind, because then we just read every man gonna stand before Yahuwah, right? So that's it. So the evidence is going. This is one of these. This is what's going to be opened up. They're gonna be looking at these 10 Commandments, the things that they keep telling us that's done away with. This is what's going to be used. This is one of the books that's going to be used against you. It's going to be evidence. It's going to testify and be a witness. Got to keep that in mind. All right. So, and the tables were the work of Yahuwah Elohim, and the writings was the writings of Yahuwah Elohim graven upon the tables. And then it tell us that with his own finger, right? His own finger. He wrote them, not Moses. Let's go to Numbers chapter 17, Trey. Because see, and the Spirit showed me this morning. I'm gonna show you what it showed, because I said, wait a minute, man. You know, and my wife said, I've been trying to tell you, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, because you see these pictures all the time with everything in it. But we're gonna find out what was really in it. Go ahead, Trey. Numbers chapter 17, verse 1 through 11.
Number 17.
And I've told y'all in the past that, well, this was it. I was like right along with it. Then this morning, I was like, wait a minute. I said, let me go back and check my work. And then something said, you need to look at this. And I'm, of course, it ain't me. I know it's the Ruach, right? So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going to show you what I found out. Number 17, verse 1 through 11, Trey.
Number 17, verse 1 through 11. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and take of everyone a rod according to the house of their fathers, of all their princes, according to the house of their fathers, 12 rods. Write every man's name upon his rod.
Okay, hold on, Trey. Now, at this point, this is when there was an argument about who was supposed to be the, why should he be a high priest? You know what I mean? It was, but the book said it was envy and jealousy. And then also they was mad because they remembered that Aaron fashioned the golden calf. So, why should he be high priest? I should be high priest, right? So this is what y'all did. So this is what he told them to do. So they had 12 rods, which represented the 12 tribes. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 4. Verse 3. And you shall write Aaron's name upon the rod of Levi, for one rod shall be the head of the house of their fathers.
Mm-hmm.
And you shall lay them up in the tabernacle of the congregation before the testimony, where I will meet with you.
Keep telling you, before the testimony. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that the man's rod, whom I shall choose, shall blossom, and I will make to cease from me the murmurings of the children of Israel, whereby they murmur against you.
Because they murmur and they just always complaining. Always complaining. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 5. And it shall come to pass that the man's rod, whom I shall choose, shall blossom, and I will make to cease from me the murmurs of the children of Israel. Oh, just read it.
That's okay. Go ahead. You're doing all right, son. Go ahead. We in class. We learning. This is fine. Go ahead.
And Moses spoke unto the children of Israel, and every one of their princes gave him a rod apiece, for each prince one, according to their fathers' houses, even 12 rods, and the rod of Aaron was among their rods. And Moses laid up the rods before Yahuwah in the tabernacle of witness. And it came to pass that on the morrow, Moses went into the tabernacle of witness, and behold, the rod of Aaron for the house of Levi was budded and brought forth buds and bloomed blossoms and yielded almonds.
Okay, so you see on this rod was budded, was buds, blossoms, and almonds. Okay, go ahead.
And Moses brought out all the rods from before Yahuwah unto the children of Israel, and they looked, and every man took his rod. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, bring Aaron's rod again before the testimony, to be kept for a token against the rebels, and you shall quickly take away their murmurings from me, that they die not. And Moses did so as Yahuwah commanded him, so he did. And the children of Israel spoke unto Moses, saying, behold, we die, we perish, we all perish. Whosoever comes anything near unto the tabernacle of Yahuwah shall die. Shall we be consumed with dying?
Right, because they've been running around here running their mouth, talking crazy. So y'all said, listen, I'm going to show you who I choose. And that should be the end of all that. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 31 now. Because Israel, they murmur so much, they murmur themselves out of the new land. And he killed every last one of them. Right? That was 20 and under, out in the wilderness. They never set foot in there. 20 and upward. I'm sorry. So if you was 20 and upward, that was it. Your murmuring cost you to get in the kingdom. Because that's what the new land basically was really representing at that time. Deuteronomy chapter 31, Trey, verse 24 through 26.
Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 24 through 26. And it came to pass, when Moses had an end of writing the words of this law in the book until they were finished, that Moses commanded the Levites, which bear the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah, saying, take this book and put it in the side of the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah your Elohim, that it may be there for a true witness against you.
So what did he do? He took the book of the law and put it in the side of the ark. So even when you look at that, it kind of confusing, because is it on the inside the ark on the side, or did he put it outside the ark? See, because outside the ark, we're going to find out it was outside. The ark was the book of the covenant, also called the book of the law. This book was imposed on the children of Israel and the strangers that lived amongst them for breaking the royal marriage covenant. Now, we know we've done Kings, Exodus 12 and 49, 2 Kings 23 and 2, 2 Chronicles 34, 14 through 19. We see that the word book of the law and book of the covenant are the same book. That's what we proved that at before. So we're not going to read that today. Let's go to Hebrews now, chapter 9. Let's see what Paul had to say about this. Because that's when the king found the book of the law. The book of the law was found, and the king, it was read in the honest the king, he tore his garments. They was happy that they had found this. See? Let's go to Hebrews now, Trey, chapter 9. What is going on with my tab? That's why sometimes I don't like using this thing. Hebrews chapter 9. Let's look at verse, let's see. Let me see. I said 19 up here. Yeah, start at verse 19, Trey.
Hebrews chapter 9, verse 19. For when Moses has spoken every commandment to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book and all the people.
Okay, so that's why it's called the book of the covenant, because the people were sprinkled to put them under the covenant, and the book or the writings that Moses wrote down was sprinkled as well, because that was the book of the covenant, right? Which, don't get confused, is not the testimony. The testimony is the 10 commandments. Now, let's go further. Let's go investigate. All right, let's go to 1 Kings, Trey. So we're gonna see what was actually in the ark. So when we see these pictures, because even I made a mistake too. I mean, hey, guess what? I'm the teacher, so I got to make sure that I correct myself and give y'all the right information. Because again, I mean, I got to make sure I give you the right information. I'm not going to be held accountable for nobody. 1 Kings, not me. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to tell you the right thing. And if I make a mistake, I'm going to come back and I'm going to correct it. I don't care. I don't have no pride like that, because I'm trying to get this thing just like y'all. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 9, Trey.
1 Kings chapter 8. There was nothing in the ark except the 2 tables of stone, which Moses put there at Horeb, when Yahuwah made a covenant with the children of Israel when they came out of the land of Egypt.
Okay, so that's the only thing that was in there. The Aaron's rod. We're gonna break this down. Let's go back to Hebrews 9 and 4. I had to do this. I had just trying to show y'all something real quick. Hebrews chapter 9. We're gonna start at verse 1, Trey. We're gonna read down. Because see, Paul trying to teach you about the same thing. Hebrews chapter 9, we're gonna start at verse 1, and we're gonna read down to verse 4.
Hebrews chapter 9, verses 1 through 4. Then verily the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service and a worldly sanctuary.
Right, which was the tabernacle on earth with men. Didn't he say he put a tabernacle there to dwell among men? Go ahead.
For there was a tabernacle made, the first wherein was the candlestick and the table and the showbread, which is called the sanctuary.
Because the candlestick, the table of incense, and the showbread, all that was in what? Is in the sanctuary. Go ahead, Trey, which is called the, right? The what? The holy place. Go ahead, Trey.
And after the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of all, which had the golden censer and the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was a golden pot that had manna and Aaron's rod that budded and the tables of the covenant.
Okay, so when we look up the word wherewith, right? It comes from Strong's number G1722, or the Greek word in, right? Or from the Greek word how. It means among, in the same location as. So it was in the same location. That's why he said against it, put it against the tabernacle, or on the side of the tabernacle. It was not in the tabernacle. First Kings told you what was in the tabernacle. It was this, the same thing they keep talking about, against. This was in the tabernacle, this testimony. The testimony or the adute of the creator. And he sat and he hovered above them. This was a mercy seat. When he watched the sacrifices, when he dealt with Moses, when he dealt with Aaron once a year, when he came back there. So if it's holy enough to go inside the inside the Ark of the Covenant, you got to be careful when you're talking against these 10 commandments, telling folks that they ain't no more good. That's dangerous. And then you had what? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 16. So it's showing you that it was in the same location, but it was not inside. The witness is inside. See? Let's go to Leviticus, Trey. So when y'all see these little pictures, don't get thrown off, because you already know that's just somebody's imagination. It ain't got nothing to do with no truth, because we're getting the truth right now. Let's go to Leviticus, man. Now you see this, the censer? Now, when there was another time the children of Israel was murmuring, right? And Yah he put a plague on them and he started wiping them out. Aaron told his son to go grab the censer and put it between the people and the death angel, or the spirit that was coming, that was killing the people, the plague. And this is where you see the Catholic Church. This is where they get this at, where they be swinging, they have it full of incense, swinging it, throwing it around, saying these Latin words or whatever they're saying, because we already showed you a video where they be talking about Lucifer. He's the Elohim of all this, and they love him and all that. But this is where they get this stuff from. This is the golden censer. Leviticus chapter 16, Trey. And verse 12 and 12 and 13.
Leviticus chapter 16, verse 12 through 13. And he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from off the altar before Yahuwah, and his hands full of sweet incense, beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense upon the fire before Yahuwah, that the cloud of incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony, that he does not die.
Right. So that's where that's where that comes from. This is where the Catholic Church get that from. See, so all these things, these two things were together, the censer, and it was in this, everything was all in the same area. It was like on the side or before or against. Like I'm gonna take this broom and lean it against the wall until I get done sweeping. He just leaned, it's just against or around the same area as the ark. But this is all that was inside the ark. So I had to clear that up. So I'm hoping y'all understand this. All right, let's go to Exodus chapter 16 now, Trey. Verse 33 through 34.
Exodus chapter 16, verse 30 through 34. And Moses said unto Aaron, take a pot and put an omer full of manna there, and lay it before Yahuwah to be kept for your generations. As Yahuwah commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept.
See, before, in front of. See, so all these things was like right around in this area right here. See, it was right in before it, but this was what was inside of it. I gotta say the same thing that these folks did. So well, you gotta have a lot of bravery to tell somebody that the 10 Commandments is done away with. You ain't got to do that no more. But we see it all the time, right? We see it all the time. All right, let's go further. Now, where Yah spoke to the priest, right? The mercy seat, the holy and the holy of holies. This was solid gold. I got a better picture so you can understand this was the crown. This is how the crown looked. See, it was, I mean, it was 4 feet 2 inches, 4 feet 2 inches, feet long by 30 inches high, 27 inches deep, carried 40 years in the wilderness. We can go look at that, Exodus 37, 1 through 9. Let's go there real quick. See, because I didn't do it with all of them. I just did it because to me, this is like one of the most powerful things. So I went ahead and broke down the hand. Yeah, I can do that for some homework if you want to help you understand how big these things were. So I just found out what a hand breadth was. I found out what a cubit was. And then that's how I calculated the actual size of it. Exodus chapter 37, Trey, 1 through 9.
Exodus 37,
Mm-hmm.
verses 1 through 9.
We read this already, but it's okay. It don't matter. We in class. Somebody might have missed something. Go ahead, son.
And Bezalel made the ark of shittim wood, and 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and a cubit and a half the breadth of it, and a cubit and a half the height of it. And he overlaid it with pure gold within and without, and made a crown of gold to it all around it. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold to be set by the 4 corners of it, even 2 rings upon the one side of it, and 2 rings upon the other side. And he made staves of shittim wood and overlaid them with gold. And he put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark to bear the ark. And he made the mercy seat pure gold, 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And he made 2 cherubims of gold. Beaten out of 1 piece made he them on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub on the end of this side, and another cherub on the other end of the side. Out of the mercy seat did he make the cherubims on the 2 ends. And the cherubims spread out their wings on high, and covered with their wings over the mercy seat, and their faces one to another, even to the mercy seatward were the faces of the cherubim.
Okay, so thank you, Trey. You're doing a great job today. So this is where Yah met and spoke, this is where he spoke to the people, because the cloud would come down and his glory would, and this is where he would be watching the sacrifices, looking out toward the east gate. Same thing that happened with the Mashiach. We're gonna show you that. We're gonna show you that again. But here you got the Kohathites. See, when you see these pictures, you understand what's going on. It's covered so that they don't die, and they're carrying it.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the crown on top of this representing Yahusha, crown king?
Yeah, you can say that, because the crown always represents a king.
Right.
Majesty. Yeah, yeah. And who was it that sat? Who was it that sat on it? Yahuwah Elohim, which is who? Which is who?
The high priest.
Yeah, the high priest, which is who?
This is
Mashiach.
Yahusha.
Yes, Yahusha, the Mashiach. Yeah, both is right, exactly. Exactly. That's because I remember he said, if you love me, keep my commandments, because he's the one that gave them. That's why he was saying they're mine. Okay, let's keep rolling. Now the altar of burnt offering, made of acacia wood, bronze overlay. All right, Exodus 27:1, the fire of the altar was to be kept burning at all times. The Israelites made daily sacrifice to Yahweh on the altar, sometimes called the brazen altar, the altar of Elohim, the altar of the sovereign, right? Whatever touched the altar became holy. You got to keep that in mind. So you want to screenshot that, go ahead and screenshot it so you can go look up these scriptures, or I'll give you a second so you can write them down. And again, the class is going to be online. So that way, if you want to go up there and freeze it and do whatever you want to do, you can do that. It's no problem. All right. Because it ain't with me right now. We're getting kind of, but that's okay. We're gonna keep rolling. We're gonna finish this. Now, Exodus 27:1. You might want to write that down. The bronze altar for burnt offerings. Exodus 27. Let's go there, Trey. 1-8.
Exodus chapter 27, verse 1-8. And you shall make an altar of shittim wood, 5 cubits long, 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. And you shall make the horns of it upon the 4 corners there. His horns shall be of the same, and you shall overlay it with brass. And you shall make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hooks, and his fire pans, all the vessels there, you shall make of brass.
Okay, because we're gonna see how these vessels is gonna be coming out. I mean, we're gonna see how they being used later on. Because the shovels, they had to remove the ashes as they was putting more wood, because you had that burnt offering, that fire better not go out. You see what I'm saying? And then you had the let me see, you in his basins and his flesh hooks. So when they would, after they would boil the meat, right? For the priest who had his portion, they would use the flesh hooks to take it out of the hot boiling water. See, or sometimes they use the flesh hooks to pick up the animal and put it on the altar, depending on how big the piece. If it was a bull, I mean, we got different type of altars. We ain't got to them offerings yet, but we're gonna get to them. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 4. And you shall make for it a grate of network of brass, and upon the net shall you make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners there. And you shall put it unto the compass of the altar beneath, that the nets may be even to the midst of the altar.
Mm-hmm.
And you shall make staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar to bear it. Hollow with boards shall you make it, as it was showed to you in the mount, so shall they make it.
Okay, so see, so you got to understand, all these things was written in a book. Moses was showed all these things. He was taught all these things while he was up on the mountain for them 40 days. See, he was up there 40 days and 40 nights. Nobody ever can tell you what he was doing. Well, he was fasting. Okay, we got that. But he was learning. He was being taught. This was like when Adam was in the garden, right? And then Yahweh Elohim, or as it says in the can't think of it right now, but it says it calls him the Word. I mean, in the cool of the day, the Word was coming down there, walking around, and was talking to him. See, so it was teaching him. But like me and Moshe was talking about, Adam blew it. He was being taught. See, and then let's go to Exodus chapter 20. In verse 26, Trey. Oh man, I gotta think of the name. I got one here.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 26. Neither shall you go up by the steps unto my altar, that your nakedness shall not be covered.
Right. See, so he told him that before. He told him that before. But again, we're gonna see Solomon. He did a whole different thing. Somebody say something? Okay, let's keep rolling. Now, the very name of Yahuwah includes the idea of covenant. A covenant keeping Elohim, the declaration of Yahuwah's eternally existing personality, is in itself a covenant promise, right? Because his nature, the divine nature, for all time to come to those who are his covenant people. So the altar, a place of worship, and the table of Yahuwah. All right, let's go to Mark chapter 9. We're going to read verse 49 through 50. We're going to be doing some jumping around here.
Mark chapter 9, verse 49 through 50. For everyone shall be salted with fire, and every sacrifice shall be salted with salt.
So
salt is good.
Go ahead.
But if the salt have lost its saltness, why will you season it?
All right. So that's why we got to make sure we stay salted ourselves, right? So that we can offer ourselves up as a living sacrifice. Because if you ain't got no commandments in you, you ain't got no works in you, you ain't got no fruits in you, right? No good works, you ain't bearing no fruit, then where your salt at? You ain't good for nothing. They might well just throw you up under somebody, where the Mashiach said, throw it on the ground and it's for men to walk on it, because it's worthless. Ezekiel chapter 30, 43, Trey. Verse 18 and verse 24.
Ezekiel chapter 43, verse 18 and verse 24. And he said unto me, Son of man, these are the ordinances of the altar in the day.
Go back. You missed a whole lot. He said to me, Son of man.
And he said unto me, Son of man, thus said Yahuwah. These are the ordinances of the altar in the day when they shall make it, to offer burnt offerings there and to sprinkle blood there. And you shall give to the priest, verse 24, and you shall offer them before Yahuwah, and the priest shall cast salt upon them, and they shall offer them up for a burnt offering unto Yahuwah.
Okay, let's go to Malachi chapter 1, Trey. And verse 6 through 7.
Malachi chapter 1, verse 6 through 7. A son honors his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is my honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Says the Elohim or Yahuwah of hosts unto you, O priests that despise my name, and you say, wherein have we despised your name? Or how did we despise your name? You offer bread upon my altar, and you say, how have we polluted you?
Wait. Oh, okay, so maybe that's how yours read, because mine's reading, you offer polluted bread. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, son. Start all over. I'm sorry.
You offer polluted bread upon my altar and say, how have we polluted you? In that the table of Yahuwah is contemptible.
So he's calling his altar his table. Let's go to Job chapter 6 and verse 6, Trey.
Job chapter 6, verse 6. Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Is there any taste in the white of an egg?
Right. So, I mean, we know Judah loves salt. We can go to a restaurant and get some food and we don't even taste it. We hitting it with that salt. We got it's in us. It's in us like that. But see, and in the Eastern culture, if you made bread with no salt, right, it equals it's unfaithfulness. You invited somebody to a table and you didn't give them nothing to season their food with. That was like a saying that was really your enemy. See, and we know salt also represents what? Friendship. See, so we see the altar was Yahuwah's table. We see that the altar was a place of inner communion with Yahuwah. Let's go to Leviticus, Trey, chapter 2. Verse 8 and verse 13.
Leviticus chapter 2, verse 8 and verse 13. And you shall bring the meat offering that is made of these things unto Yahuwah. And when it is presented unto the priest, you shall bring it to the altar. Verse 13. And every oblation of your meat offering shall you season with salt.
Okay.
Neither shall you suffer.
Now go ahead, son. Go ahead. Neither shall you. Go ahead.
Shall you suffer the salt of the covenant of Yahuwah to be lacking from the meat offering? With all your offerings, you shall offer salt.
Right, and we got a class that we're gonna put up here on the salt covenant. Let's go to Mark chapter 12, Trey.
Mark chapter 12,
verse 38 through 44.
verse 38 through 44. And he said unto them in his doctrine, beware the scribes, which love to go in long clothing and love salutation in the marketplaces, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and the uppermost rooms at feasts, which devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. These shall receive greater damnation. And Yahushua sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and said unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow has cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For they did cast of their abundance, but she of her want cast in all she had, even all her living.
Right, so we see here salt also represents not only friendship, but it means commitment and being faithful. See, this woman she was giving it all. See, she didn't have whatever, she didn't have much, but what she had, she gave it all to Yah. Just like we just got done seeing when the people was bringing their offering to the temple, it was too much. It had to stop them. It's a difference when you committed and faithful, and then when you not, right? Like even in Paul's time, was a husband and wife, Ananias and Sapphira. You know, they holding back. You see what happened to him, don't you? See, so this is how he wants us to be. Before we offer ourselves on the altar, we have to make sure that we totally committed. You want to be, like I said, you want to be committed and faithful. In your mind, you doing all that you know that you could have done today, each day. Because I can't worry about tomorrow. The Mashiach told me don't worry about that. See, right now, today, what have I done for Yahuwah today? How have I walked? How have I talked? Did I say the right things? Did I do the right things? Did I pray right? This is what's important. Let's keep moving. All right, brass represents judgment. Now, if you notice, you have the bronze laver, right? You have the bronze altar, right? Let's look at this here. We're not going to hit all these today, but I want to show you a couple of things. Let's go to Amos chapter 3, Trey. You can screenshot this if you want, but this is very, very, very important. Yeah, so because brass, like I say, that even the scripture tells us that we're gonna have brass. That's part of the curses in Deuteronomy 28, right? Judgment over your head, brass over your head. That's what he's talking about. See, and the horns of the altar, it was a place of refuge or atonement. That's what these little four horns meant. And we're going to show you somebody that grabbed hold of them. And I mean, see, this is in our culture. We understood this, but see, we've forgotten these things. So now we got it. We're trying to go back to them. Amos 3 and 14, Trey.
Amos chapter 3, verse 14. That in the day that I shall visit the transgressors of Israel, upon him will I also visit the altars of Bethel, and the horns of the altar shall be cut off and fall to the ground.
Right. So I mean, he's kind of mad right now. Let's go to Exodus chapter 21, Trey. We just gonna be jumping around right now. And 14. Because ain't gonna be, in other words, he's trying to show you ain't gonna be no safety, ain't gonna be no mercy. Go ahead. Exodus chapter 21 and 14, son.
Exodus chapter 21 and verse 14. But if a man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, you shall take him from my altar, that he may die.
Okay, now that's a reason why we're gonna show you what he was talking about when he said this, right? Let's go up here to Numbers chapter 21. I'm gonna give you a perfect example of this. Numbers chapter 21, 4 through 9.
You said Numbers chapter 21.
Yeah, 21, verse 4 through 9. I'm not gonna hit all these, but you guys can hit them if we're gonna hit a couple more.
Numbers chapter 21, verse 4 through 9.
Mm-hmm.
And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was very discouraged because of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And the people spoke against Yahuwah.
You know what I'm saying? Here they go again. Here they go again. And Moshe. Go ahead.
Wherefore have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water. And our soul loathes this light bread. And Yahuwah sent fiery serpents among the people, that they bit the people, and much of the people of Israel did die.
Right. And we know that we can look at some of these other fiery serpents. They also represent cherubim, right? But that's a whole nother thing. That's one of the way back lessons we did maybe a year or so ago. Go ahead, son. Verse 7.
Therefore, the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against Yahuwah and against you. Pray to Yahuwah that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people.
Okay, and Moshe, he did what? He prayed for the people. Go ahead.
And Yahuwah said unto Moses, make a fiery serpent and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he looks upon it, shall live.
Go ahead.
And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he looked at the serpent of brass, he lived.
Okay, let's go to John chapter 3 now.
John chapter 3, verse 14 through 15. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life.
See that? Oh, Paul, see, that's what we kind of, man, between Paul and the Mashiach, they steady be pointing the people back toward the old book, steady shooting you back there, steady shooting you back there. For some reason, they just, I don't know, man. I mean, these flattering words and these fables, boy. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 16 now. Flattering words and fables, boy. They're gonna get a whole lot of people knocked off. Leviticus chapter 16, Trey, 18 through 19.
Leviticus chapter 16, verse 18 through 19. And he shall go out unto the altar that is before Yahuwah and make an atonement for it, and shall take of the blood of the bullock and of the blood of the goat and put it upon the horns of the altar around it. And he shall sprinkle the blood upon it with his finger 7 times and cleanse it and hallow it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel.
Okay, see, so we steady showing you that the homes of altar is a place of refuge, and it's also for atonement. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 17 now, in verse 11, Trey.
Leviticus chapter 17, verse 11. For the life of flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls, for it is the blood that makes an atonement for the soul.
Let's go to Hebrews now, chapter 9, verse 22.
Hebrews chapter 9, verse 22. And almost all things that are by the law purged with blood, and without the shedding of blood is no remission.
There is no remission. So we see that because that's why the covenant is that's why that covenant was so strong. Because now we just got done reading how he sprinkled the people and he sprinkled the book. See, that's why Elder Moshe made a very good observation. We was talking on the phone, and I told him, I'm going to use that in one of my lessons. But it was great because this is what Israel don't understand. See, just like the brother pointed out. Okay, the Father's house is is a tabernacle. Okay, so all of us trying to get into the house, right? Okay, but okay. So boom, now you got company that came over to the house, right? Y'all having a good time, y'all playing. Now your father told you don't be playing in the house because they finna go to the store, sit down and watch TV. So soon they leave, y'all acting like y'all playing football in the house with a sock. Boom, now you done knocked over the lamp and broke the lamp. Okay, guess what? Your friends, when their father get there, he ain't gonna beat them. What he gonna say? Look, y'all gotta go. Your company gotta go home because I told you not to be doing it. See, so the company go home. That's the rest of these nations. There ain't nothing happening to them. But Israel, you stuck in the house because you the one that got the blood put on you. So this is why you getting. See, that's what our people missing. This is why they're getting beat down and punished so much because they just keep wanting to be like their company. But you're not like the company. The company going home. You are stuck in this house because you got blood on you. You belong to this father. That's why you getting beat. And this is what we got to understand. So the horns of the altar was a place of refuge. Let's go ahead and make sure of this. Let's go to Exodus, 1 Kings chapter 1, Trey. Let's go look at this. Because I saw it in the movie when we first got that Solomon movie. Remember that? Years ago. And when the brother grabbed the altar, he was like, no, I didn't understand it. But I understand it now. Let's go there. Because see, he knew about the horns of the altar was a place of refuge. He knew that the horns of the altar was for atonement. First Kings chapter 1, Trey. We're going to read down. We're going to start at verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 1. Now David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes, but he gat no heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in your bosom, that my lord the king may get heat. So they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coast of Israel, and found a Basaj, a Shunammite, and brought her to the king.
Right.
And the damsel was very fair.
Hold on a minute, Trey. Some people be acting like, hold on, Trey. Because some cats was taking this, making this something that the man was old. He was cold all the time. Like I remember when I was in the military, we had an exercise that we had to do. None of us wanted to do it because it's because we was all manly men, right? But it's like if somebody had hypothermia, or if they was cold, then what you had to do was you had to take their clothes off down to his skivvies, and you had to take your clothes off down to your skivvies, and you had to get in the sleeping bag with him so that your body temperature would bring up his body temperature. This is what's happening. This ain't got nothing to do with nothing else. But people's mind, I've heard cats over the years. I'm like, that can't be right. But that's what that was. He's trying to keep this brother warm. It was nothing else about that. He's trying to bring up the king's heat, right? And at this time, they're not gonna have another man doing it, because that was a no-no, right? So they got a young damsel, and that's all it was. Go ahead, Trey.
Verse 4. And the damsel was very fair and cherished the king and ministered to him, but the king did not know her.
The king did not know her. And we know in our culture, Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived. So it's not that he didn't know who she was. He did not know her. He didn't touch her. Go ahead, man.
Then Adonijah, the son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I will be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him.
So now he's scheming. See, he's scheming. But see, according to the law, if anyone schemes and kills somebody deliberately, so he didn't kill nobody deliberately, right? But he was scheming. Go ahead, Trey.
And his father had not displeased him at any time in saying, why have you done so? And he also was a very goodly man, and his mother bare him after Absalom. And he conferred with Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and with Abiathar, the priest, and they followed Adonijah, helped him. But Zadok, the priest, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and Nathan, the prophet, and Shimei, and Re, and the mighty men which belonged to David, were not with Adonijah. Adonijah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle by the stone of Zahaleth, which is by Enrogel, and called all his brethren, the king's sons, and all the men of Judah, the king's servants. But Nathan, the prophet, and Benaiah, and the mighty men, and Solomon his brother, did he not call. Wherefore Nathan spoke unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, have you not heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, does reign, and David, our king, does not know it? Now therefore, come let me, I pray you, give you counsel, that you may save your own life and the life of your son Solomon. Go and get thee in unto King David, and say unto him, did you, my sovereign, O king, swear unto your handmaid, saying, assuredly Solomon your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne?
Jump down to verse 17.
And she said unto him, my king, you swore by Yahuwah your Elohim unto your handmaid, saying, assuredly Solomon your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. And now, behold, Adonijah reigned, and now my king, you know not. And he has slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and have called all the sons of the king, and Abiathar the priest, and Joab, the captain of the host, was Solomon, your servant, did he not call?
Right, because he just gonna make himself king. Go ahead.
And you, my king, the eyes of all Israel are upon you, that you should tell them who shall sit on the throne of my king after him. Otherwise, it shall come to pass when the king shall sleep with his fathers, that I and my son Solomon shall be counted offenders.
Right, like they stole something. Go ahead.
And while she yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet also came in.
Now you see, now notice what's happening. You got a priest that he went and got a priest to try to go ahead and make this thing right. How come he didn't go to the prophet? Because see, you gotta remember, prophet was prophet was like the bomb back then, buddy. That was a word of Yah. Yah was speaking through this man. That's what when the prophet used to show up, folks would get nervous because they just knew somebody was getting ready to die. But he didn't go get Nathan because he was scheming. Go ahead, Trey.
And when he came before the king, he bowed himself. Behold, the king with his face to the ground. And Nathan said, my king, have you said, Adonijah shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne? For he is gone down this day, and have slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and have called all the king's sons and the captains of hosts, and Abiathar, the priest, and behold, they eat and drink before him, and say, Elohim, save King Adonijah. But me, even me, your servant, and Zadok the priest, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and the servant Solomon, has he not called?
How come he ain't called Zadok? Zadok a bad boy now. Zadok he gonna be putting things together the new king. He didn't go get Zadok. He went and got this other priest. Go ahead.
Is this thing done by my king, and you have not showed it unto your servant, who should sit on the throne of my sovereign, the king after him? Then King David answered and said, call me Bathsheba. And she came into the king's presence and stood before the king. And the king swore and said, as Yahuwah lives and has redeemed my soul out of all distress, even as I swear unto you by Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, saying, surely Solomon your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne in my stead. Even so, I certainly do this day.
Hmm?
Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth and did reverence to the king and said, let my king David live forever.
Okay, because so David, he went ahead and straightened that out. No. I didn't say Adonijah. I said Solomon. Go ahead.
And King David said, call me Zadok, the priest, and Nathan, the prophet, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada. And they came before the king. The king also said unto them, take with you the servants of your sovereign, and call Solomon, my son, to ride upon my own mule, and bring him down to Gahan.
Okay, so now he got the king's mule. See, all this stuff is symbolic. Go ahead, man.
And let Zadok, the priest, and Nathan the prophet anoint him there, king over Israel, and blow the trumpet, and say, Elohim save King Solomon.
That's it, right? It's sealed right there. He got Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet that's going to anoint Solomon. And then they're going to blow the trumpet to announce it. See, this other brother, he ain't do all this. Go ahead.
Then you shall come up after, that he may come and sit upon my throne, for he shall be king in my stead, and I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and over Judah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, answered the king and said, Hallelujah, the sovereign Elohim, Yahuwah, the Elohim of my king, says so too. As Yahuwah has been with my king, even so be he with Solomon, and make his throne greater than the throne of my king David. So Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Sherethites and Pelethites went down and caused Solomon to ride upon King David's mule and brought him to Gahan.
Mhm.
And Zadok the priest took a horn of oil out of the tabernacle and anointed Solomon, and they blew the trumpet, and all the people said, Elohim, save King Solomon.
Right now, the Kerethites, they was a bunch of executioners, so he had guards with him too. See, so I mean, that's when if you want to really go a little deeper and you start looking up these people that was around him. They was executioners. Because then remember David used to travel with mighty men, right? Remember we did that class. They was like ninjas, like. He wanted some water one time. He sent them down into the camp of the enemy, got water, and came back without a scratch and gave them some water. That's how bad they were. You know what I'm saying? So, but go ahead, man.
And all the people came up after him, and the people piped with pipes and rejoiced with great joy, so that the earth rent with the sound of them. And Adonijah and all the guests that were with him heard it as they had made an end of eating. And when Joab heard the sound of the trumpets, he said, what is this noise of the city being in the uproar? And while he yet spoke, behold, Jonathan, the son of Abiathar, the priest came, and Adonijah said unto him, Come in, for you are a valiant man, and bring good tidings. And Jonathan answered and said to Adonijah, Verily, our King David has made Solomon king.
Go ahead.
And the king has sent with him Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and they have caused him to ride upon the king's mules. And Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet have anointed him king in Gahan, and they are come up from thence, rejoicing, so that the city rang again. This is the noise that you have heard. And also Solomon sits on the throne of the kingdom.
Go down to verse 48.
And also, thus said the king, Blessed be Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, which has given one to sit on my throne this day, my eyes even seeing it. And all the guests that were with Adonijah were afraid and rose up and went every man his way.
He started scattering because they know it was wrong. Go ahead.
And Adonijah feared because of Solomon, and arose and went and caught hold on the horns of the altar.
So you see, he went and grabbed hold. That's why he went, because he knew there was safety there. See, there was atonement there. That's why it was a place of refuge. That's why he went and grabbed the horns of the altar. Go ahead.
And it was told Solomon, saying, Behold, Adonijah fears King Solomon, for lo, he has caught hold on the horns of the altar, saying, Let King Solomon swear unto me today that he will not slay his servant with the sword. Solomon said, If he will show himself a worthy man, there shall not a hair on him fall to the earth, but if wickedness shall be found in him, he shall die. So King Solomon sent, and they brought him down from the altar, and he came and bowed himself to King Solomon. Solomon said unto him, Go to your house.
Right. See, but the only thing he didn't do, he didn't kill nobody, but he still was scheming. So that's why he ran and grabbed hold of the altar, but Solomon told him now. You know what I mean? And I think eventually he did end up killing him. I can't remember, but anyway, let's see if we're gonna go any further. So we're gonna stop right here. We're gonna pick this up next week we're gonna finish this part of it up next week, and we're gonna get into the like I said, we're gonna get through this because we still got to get through Solomon's temple and all that. So that's gonna be the class for the day. So let's see. With that being said, okay, we're gonna stop right here. I'm gonna stop recording.